Hey, what's going on? Another episode of Crypto Kyle TV here, and we are going to discuss Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash. Which is the real Bitcoin? What should you buy? What is going on in the Bitcoin world? So, as we dive into this chart, Bitcoin US dollar on Coinbase, as you can see, Bitcoin has had an extraordinary past few months. There's a lot of green here, a lot of green there, little dip, and a lot of green, a lot of green, and a lot of green. And so, as you can see here, we've had there's a few red days. And especially we've had bigger red days, especially because Bitcoin, the SegWit, segregated witness 2 times was canceled. You can watch that video that I made on that. But that was canceled. As you can see on this blue line right here on the 16th is when it was going to start forking. And you were going to see basically two different blockchains essentially take place. So a lot of confusion, and so they just canceled it. The segregated witness team just canceled it, and they basically dumped all their Bitcoin and basically went on to say they're not going to support Bitcoin in their release on their website. And there's a lot of other drama. So needless to say, this got pumped a lot. As you can see, that big spike from people buying into this. There's a lot of FOMO, which is fear of missing out. So a lot of fear of missing out money getting pumped into this thing. And as you can see, Bitcoin a little bit of a slump here. Obviously, this is a 7-day chart. Just recently reached an all-time high. If we back this thing up for over a year, or a 1-day chart, it doesn't actually look that bad. As long as it stays within this means of this, this trend line here, I think we'll be okay. But it is a pretty dangerous area because you don't want this thing to fall too low, where you'll see it crash out, because you don't want that to happen, obviously. I like to be all about the Bitcoin community and to keep this together. So if you can keep this project together, then I think a community should do that. But as far as making money, it might be a good idea to put have your own ratio of Bitcoin Cash versus Bitcoin. The sides right now, there's just so much drama right now, like it's hard to pick a side. Bitcoin Cash is pretty neat in the fact that it's peer-to-peer and things like that. So it's a good idea, but the way they're doing it is very very, very, very crazy the way they're doing it. But anyways, so altcoins, they're pretty much been green. They had one big red day, and as you can see here, that Chicago Board Options Exchange. Or let me see here. I don't think that's actually the name. It's like Chicago Mercantile Exchange has announced they'll add Bitcoin futures in 2017. So this should, boost it the closer it gets to the time that they release those futures, which is good news for Bitcoin. And also you have big mutual fund traders like Mark Yusko. I believe is how you pronounce his name, Yusko. Anyways, he's a Morgan Creek Capital Management, manages over $3.7 billion in assets, and he's suggesting Bitcoin will eventually be worth $400,000 despite the segregated witness being canceled. So, with that being said, I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere unless they just sit there and they don't upgrade the network. So I think things are going to look up here in the next, few days. Hopefully, personally, I like Bitcoin. I'm not going to buy into all the FOMO, but it might be a good idea just to own maybe a couple of Bitcoin Cash if you can. But, like I said, with all the good news going on still and the futures being launched at the end of the year and things like that, then, I wouldn't cash out all your Bitcoin and go run to Bitcoin Cash, because this thing, you don't really want to buy into an all-time high like that, because this thing could crash any moment. So you really want to see a little bit more correction in there than that. But of course, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't advise you to do anything. This is purely educational. Only risk what you're willing to lose. So a lot of updates and things going on. What I would do, like I said, maybe a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 Bitcoin for every 1, Bitcoin Cash, because obviously Bitcoin is still worth a lot more. But do your due diligence. If you're emotional about these buys, try to not do that and try to look at it as, the overall picture of where this thing's going. As far as like Bitcoin, where this thing's going, it still has a nice little trend line. BCH, so new. We don't know where this thing's going to dump out at, or if it's just going to be pumped and dumped. A lot of pro traders out there saying it's highly pumped and that they're still into Bitcoin. So yeah, that's all I got for you today. Make sure you do your own research and do your own due diligence. And like I said, I am not going to buy into the FOMO here, fear of missing out on Bitcoin Cash. I already made my money here in this parabolic activity, and I'm not going to mess with it anymore. Like I said, you might have a ratio where you want to buy this thing, but right now it's at an all-time high, and that's one of my number one rules is don't buy into all-time highs, but buy in the dips, and you'll be good. So with that said, let me know what you think. Bitcoin futures, do you agree with Mark Yusko and Tom Lee and things like that, where this Bitcoin is going to be worth quite a bit? Or are you a Bitcoin Cash supporter and you're purely like, and they believe what they believe about the whole network thing? Comment below. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell. But that's my personal thing. That's what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on and we'll see what this thing does over the next month or so, or at the end of the year, really, with all this future talk going on, Bitcoin futures. With that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video. Peace.